If you think about training or pedagogy or education, that's one of the things that hasn't changed. And we have now to really rethink this idea of training. Is it the way we want and have to learn in the future? So this is one of the things we have to think of if we're talking about remote e-learning, that it's not this one and many anymore, but it's like a group of people exchanging each ideas and experiences and finding a way to do it. And hopefully there is one person that is a little bit more experienced or knowledgeable in a certain field where you can ask them. That doesn't have to be the teacher. It can be everybody in the room. As trainers, teachers, consultants, we invited the people in one room. It was like more or less a clean laboratory. Everybody was coming there. It was like our room, our world. We told them all the things we knew, or we decided that they have to know. We did a test at the end where we asked the people, or checked if the people understood what we told them. And that was it for us. People were going out then, going back in their lives, and we reached our goal because everybody was there, everybody was happy, and everybody knew what was taught. And that was it for us. But that's not the new world. The new world is completely vice versa. People aren't invited into a classroom. Your problems don't arise in a classroom. Your problems arise exactly at the point where you are. So the world is a classroom in a way. Like at the moment, I'm sitting here right in the middle of nowhere, and this is my classroom at the moment. If I decide to, if I have a problem, if I have to solve something, if I have a need for something, it's here, and I don't wait for a training in a classroom like end of the year for something, but I have my problem now and I have to solve it. And it's also, if you think about this idea of, if I have a need now and I want to solve it now, I don't care about the formats or how it looks like. It's important to not market the training anymore, but to fill the needs. If you're thinking about a regular compliance training, they are boring. The compliance training is always boring. That's the reason why it was one of the first trainings that the trainer said, I don't care, just do it as an e-learning. If I start there where the people say, okay, now I know what I need and I'm motivated to do it, that's the point where you can do a great training with really small chunks of information, with the right information, and people start to learn right now, right here, and just to transfer it into their all-day lives. And if it works, they're happy. And that's, again, a new thing that we as trainers don't think about training within a closed classroom anymore, but we are kind of service people for them. We are their personal coaches, career coaches, knowledge coaches that help them in their careers. And if I'm able to help a career step by step, it doesn't matter if it's via telephone, mobile phone, smartphone, email, or e-learning or whatever, but they get to their next step and they know that they solved their needs, their problems, and got the answers they needed. That's the way where training starts to work. All of the time we did mass learning in a way, and you can really compare it to the car industry, for example. They did mass production until mid of the 90s, and then it started with so-called mass customization. Every person now is able to get his or her own car the way they want to configure it, but we're not able to do the same with training at the moment. But that's the future. Everybody has his or her own needs completely. We have, for example, leadership. Expert is a different career in a way. It's like if you're trying to get the best in a certain topic, you need, of course, you need guidance. You need people that help you. It's like in conferences, things like that. The learning is completely different. It's not about leadership training. It's about getting the best person in the world in this one topic, and that needs to connect with all the best persons in the world that are at the moment able for that. Same with, for example, a project manager. Same thing. It's a completely different career. It's like helping people to get things done that are done the first time. It's like finding the right method for the organization to drive the project. And it has nothing to do with the topics within that project. It's about methods, about strategies, about the tools I have to work together with all these people and get them into the project goals. It's about their skill sets. It's about where are they. Everybody's on a different step on their career in this, at least in these three different careers, and there are even more. So the thing is, number one, find out what they need. And that's the biggest thing for the remote learning. And it's only possible with remote learning, because if I have to get the people together, it's nearly impossible. I had that with a big company that had service people in all over the world. I think they had 8 customer service centers, 2 people from Sydney and 2 people from South America, getting together with 1 person in Germany for 45-minute training on this particular skill. And that was like completely impossible to do with a face-to-face training. So that was the moment where they started to do little e-learnings. And that's the way where training really goes in the right direction. The new training approach is that you can say, if I have certain skill sets, I have small chunks of information that might help those people. My job as a trainer, as a person that is like the learning coach, is to get this small chunks together for this person, to talk to the person, to find out what are the next steps, the needs of those persons, and get them this one skill set, and then set it on autopilot. The cool thing about remote learning is that we can automate a lot of those things. If you have certain training steps that are always the same, you can do an online training like a video or a book or an audio, and you can connect them together. And it's like more or less a content curation topic. And that's a new job skill too now, that content curation is even more important than setting up a training with cool methods, because there is a lot of content out there. But the question is, what content fits to the personal needs of the people? And so we have, in a way, two roles now, like one person or one role working with the people, getting to know their needs and putting together their needs as a skill set, and the next person like finding the contents that fit those needs and then structuring it the way the people can learn. And that with this, you can have a lot of different chunks of information, of knowledge. And if you put them together in a certain way and leave out the things they don't need and put in the things they need, you get a completely individual training for everybody. And that's a really important thing, because we're now talking about classroom size of 1. And that's completely different to mass learning. Attendance is not the main part of learning or teaching. Even if you take our session today, we had nearly 100 of possible participants, but we're way less than 100 people. But that doesn't mean that only you are getting this or joining this meeting and getting the information. It's like because we're saving this and the video is available afterwards, there might be a lot of more people, and we don't even know how many people it are, get this information if they want to. And maybe they're just leaving out the parts that they are not interested. They don't have to do a completely 1 hour video session. Maybe it's only 10 minutes, for example, because they have a certain question that might be answered somewhere in the middle, and they're just fast forwarding to that, listening intensely to this 10 minutes, and then stop everything. So attendance is getting less and less important. And if you think about remote workers, attendance isn't the way you work or learn anymore, because they have their jobs, they have their own agenda, their day schedule, whatever, and learning has to fit into that. And it's not. Also, we figured out that there are always certain parts where the people slow down their learning speed. It's like it seems that they are. It takes them more time to learn or understand that part, but they are really fast with other parts. They're just skipping it more or less. So we have to stop with this idea of learning time and start going into the idea of getting the next step, getting the next goal, reaching our next career level, reaching our next knowledge level, whatever our goal is. And that's completely different. You might say that's here since years, so it's not new, learning anytime and everywhere. Yeah, I've read that pretty often as a claim, but it's more than a claim. It's like thinking of people that are right in the middle of their work somewhere, getting certain problems that I need to solve, and now getting the right problems and tips is the one part, but it's also, and that's the new part, changing our business model. For example, the question is, do we as trainers, as consultants, as coaches, have to spend a complete day telling our customers always the same thing. For example, I can talk about e-learning and helping corporates to find their perfect learning management system. There are around 200 learning management systems out there, and there are two approaches you can do as a consultant. You can say, oh, we're doing a really intense analytics of your training needs and your workflows and everything you have in your company, and we're just doing a short medium list out of this 200, giving you like the most important 50, and then we're doing a new check and you get a shorter list with 20 going back to 5, and you have then the decision to do the 5 with an intense analytic, getting the people to your company, talk to them, talk to the vendors, and find out what's the best one. Or you say, okay, I know that there are 200 out of the market. If we just do if we just skip the first part of everything, and I tell you what's important, and you tell me what you're actually searching for, maybe I know the 10, and they are pretty often, most time they are the same. Like the first 10 or the first 20 aren't too different. It's like pretty easy to tell what helps. It's pretty often a matter of money, of course, or about the complexity of your organization. But it's like easy to skip that. And maybe it's not about joining you in your way of deciding for the right learning management system, but sometimes it's just a small video telling you what learning management systems do, what you have to look for, and what might be a good checklist for criteria to find out what the good one is, or a list of possible vendors that are pretty often the ones that win those analytic games. It's so easy to do a training video at the moment. As you see here with me, for example, it's just a smartphone and microphone, and you can do a video. The question is, do I have to trade my work day as one day for you, and you have to pay 2,500 euro for that? Or is it easier to say, well, how about for the intro part, for the easy parts that every consultant is doing, wouldn't it be easier to give you the opportunity to get a video from me for, let's say, 98 euro? And that's a new world, because like if you're just like, in a way, one media in a row of a lot of medias, it's really getting interesting for you and for your customers, because you're out of this idea of trading time for money, because you have a lot of different assets that they can book. And on the other hand, your customers get a lot of information that is helpful too from the media you're offering them. And this combination is like the new world of learning, and it's new. There aren't any great answers at the moment for that, for everything, but it's the world that is arising at the moment. This hybrid learning style or blended learning style is the thing that's at the moment is happening in remote learning, because everybody is on the other end of the world, or it's impossible to meet each other. It's finding out the right mixture and the right media for the people.